Body bags were horror lies.
Now take my bitch. She won't complain about shit cause she's my hoe. She don't belong to a trick, so when you fuck her and give her all your cash, I get paid. I put my foot in her ass, I won't marry the bitch. And give her half, I get mo head. And then I laugh at that one bitch shit. I got a gang of hoes, I get freak ass lick these balls and toes.
Now stupid little bitches get tossed if they don't realize that I'm the motherfucking boss. Come on down and get your ass pinched. And if you talk shit, get your ass lynched. Cause I'm the B, the I, the T, the C, the H, the K, the I, the L, the H.
Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to week 60 here on Body Bags. I'm your host Moodz616, and thank you once again for dropping in, guys. Alrighty, yes, week 60 is here, and it is Witch Theme Week here on Body Bags. I actually chose this theme week. Now, it seems like a lot of witch films out there. Oh my good lord. Okay. Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to week 60 here on Body Bags. I'm your host Moodz616, and thank you once again for dropping in, guys. Alrighty, yes, week 60 is here, and this week's theme is Witch Week. I of course actually chose this one this week. You know, it seems like there isn't that many witch films out there, but upon doing research, there is actually a shit ton of witch movies out there. And of course, I actually had a lot in my collection. I was going through the collection going, fuck man, there's actually quite a few witch films. So I had lots to choose from, but the one I ultimately chose this week is from 1969, released by Code Red, and it's under the title of The Witchmaker. Now, I chose this one because I wanted to rewatch this film. I'd seen it once before when I picked up this DVD, and I couldn't quite remember the movie that well, so had to revisit this one, so I went with it. Now, getting into the plot of this one, now it centers around a group of, I think, 4 or 5 people that go into the Louisiana swamp, led by a professor of, paranormal studies and whatnot and stuff. One of his students actually basically is kind of like a psychic and stuff like that. So now what they're doing, they go into the Louisiana swamp to investigate a series of murders that has been taking place around a bunch of young women have been found murdered or disappeared and found murdered and stuff like that. So now they've been, they're taking it upon themselves to go into the swamp and kind of investigate, but they isolate themselves like in this cabin type area and stuff, and that's where they want to do their paranormal or their investigative reporting and stuff on this case. Meanwhile, and you learn very quick that there is actually a couple witches out in this Louisiana swamp area. Now, they are definitely responsible for the missing women and stuff like that, and basically the whole story kind of centers around the one girl, Tasha, in the film. She's the psychic that the professor brings along to help investigate with this paranormal stuff. But now these witches, they get kind of whiff that Tasha is, or could maybe, might just be a witch herself, because her ancestors were actually witches. Now, she doesn't really realize that she has this certain power and maybe actually a witch herself and whatnot. So basically, these 2 witches that are out there are trying to recruit her while they're doing this investigative stuff. So now it's basically them against, the investigators against these witches and trying to beat the forces of evil and whatnot and stuff. So that is your main, synopsis of the film right there. Now, my thoughts on this one. I have to say this is a pretty interesting witch film. Now, what I mean by interesting, I mean that they kind of create their own mythology in this film. It's actually quite unique. Now, the one witch, also known as like the Berserker, they basically have a certain type of way of keeping their youth. What they do, and the reason why they've been murdering all these young girls and stuff like that, is because they need to drink their blood to keep their youth, so they can retain their youth, so they can live for hundreds of years and stuff. Now, that mythology is kind of unique in itself right there, because it feels like it kind of feels like a vampire film in a way, but they're not. They're actually witches. They have special powers. They can, fucking shoot lightning bolts. Like they're witch. It's really odd. It's really odd. But the mythology behind the witches is actually pretty interesting. Also, there's certain things with like garlic and stuff. If you put garlic on you and stuff, you're kind of invisible to the witches and whatnot. So garlic and blood, it's kind of vampire-ish, but creates its own unique mythology and stuff, which is quite interesting. That whole mythology to the film is quite interesting. But the main problem with this movie is that it really does have a really interesting idea. It's, you know, it's very kind of, this is kind of like a predecessor to like films like, you know, The Legend of Hell House and maybe even like The Blair Witch and stuff like that. There is a lot of films that basically kind of not stole this idea, but kind of borrowed from this type of film, because it is very unique in its style and stuff. But the problem is with this movie is that it runs way too long, and there's a lot of scenes that are kind of dragged out, and they're not really going anywhere. You know, I think this movie could have been a lot shorter. It runs about 100 minutes, and I think it's way too long. Like I said, there's certain scenes that just go on way, way too long in this movie, and it really does bring it down, because you just really want to explore the mythology and get into, like, you know, the whole witch aspect of the film and stuff like that, and, you know, kind of dumb down the investigative reporting a little bit and stuff. There's a lot of dialogue in the film that you really don't care about. You just kind of want to get down to the nitty-gritty stuff. And, you know, with that said, it's got some pretty decent moments and stuff. It's not overly gory and whatnot, but it does have some, like I said, the mythology is very cool. It's interesting with the pig's blood and stuff. You can't have pig's blood at like a black mass and stuff like that. So there is a lot of interesting things going on in this. I think the performances in the movie are actually pretty good. Not bad for a bunch of pretty much unknown people. I don't really recognize a lot of like anybody in this movie and stuff. So their performances were pretty good. Now it does suffer from a pretty bland soundtrack. The soundtrack makes this movie feel really old, in my opinion. Like, it's from '69, but it feels older. Like, the soundtrack at times is kind of goofy and comical. I think very unintentionally done. And it's almost laughable. It's just not very good. And the biggest problem with that really shitty soundtrack is that the fact that this movie's shot beautifully. Like, the setting in the swamp is awesome. It's really good. It's a really cool setting, really cool atmosphere and stuff. But everything is brought down by the dragged out scenes, the shitty score, and things like that. So ultimately, there's lots of scenes in this film that are actually quite boring. You know, you just really want to kind of get it over with, which is very unfortunate because, like I said, it's got a pretty cool idea. The mythology is very interesting, but executed a little poorly, in my opinion. And, you know, the end is, blah, I don't know. It's not really that big of a build-up, which is very kind of brings it down a lot, too. It just kind of gets to the end and just ends. It's, you know, it is what it is, right? But, I don't know. Overall, it's not a bad film. It just suffers from things that, you know, maybe a little bit of editing in this film could have really helped it out. Better score and stuff like that would have really helped out the like overall product of this. But I don't really know what else to say about it, man. If I had to rate this one, I am going to give it a pass, a loose recommendation at like 5.5 out of 10. Like I said, the idea is really good, and there's lots of cool things going on in this one. It's just the overall product it's definitely damaged by certain things that are happening in it. So, but yeah, that's The Witchmaker from 1969. If you can find a copy for cheap, I know Code Red titles are completely overpriced and ridiculous. But, you know, the transfer on this actually isn't too bad. It does have, you know, it's basically taken from, like, those original film prints and stuff. It's got a lot of scratches and stuff towards the beginning. It does kind of fare out towards the end, but it's very typical Code Red. But, you know, if you can find it for under $20, maybe give it a shot. I don't know. You can never find stuff for under $20. It's Code Red. Completely ridiculous company, but anyways, guys, that's going to do it for The Witchmaker. You know, check it out at your own risk. I don't recommend it strongly. Loosely recommend it. Is, like I said, it's pretty decent, but yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm rambling on. It's going to do it for week 60. I'll check you next week. Moodz616, and I'm out of here. Peace out, homies.